My mother-in-law is a deceitful body shamer, so we went low contact with her.
Yeah, shame her for being awful.
There you go. So late last year, my 41 female mother-in-law and my husband, 42 male, had a conversation regarding a financial situation that was about a will and family money type deal. Not a ton of money, but enough that would be a huge help to us. By the way, this comes from the Universe System 6 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my mother-in-law told my husband that once everything in the will was settled, the entire amount of money would be split evenly between her, my husband, and his brother. A total of about $115K each.
Man,
Wow.
that's crazy.
She also told my husband that my brother-in-law was not interested in his share. First red flag here, in my opinion. A parent of two living in an expensive city doesn't want free money, so the split would more than likely be between her and my husband. When my husband relayed all this information to me, I was neutral about the whole matter. This money is family money, and I'm a person who married into it, so I have no real say to what happens with the money until it hits our bank account. I was here to be supportive of my husband, but really the money was not my business.
Good way to think about it.
Yeah, I agree. So time passes. The person who the will is for passes. We have the funeral, and of course, there is real time and processing time for all the affairs to be in order. My husband reached out to his mom a few times to offer to help her with the arrangements and anything else that she needed, as she was the person doing primarily everything. She declined every single time, saying it was handled and not to worry. I don't know about that.
Something's really suspicious here.
Yeah. Again, my spidey senses were tingling about my mother-in-law being shady, but as this is money I have no claim to, the most I did was reminding my husband to be supportive of mother-in-law and ask for updates. A few months later, the entire family, minus my father-in-law, who was home, his choice, watching all of the family pets, went to Lake Tahoe in California for a spring break vacation. Some things to note before I go further. For those who don't know, Tahoe is high in the mountains and the air is really thin. Also, it was really cold for me, a California girl who was happiest in the low 70s, LOL. The weather was in the 40s and 50s the entire
Chilly.
trip.
As another
chilly.
California girl, I get you.
Me too. I don't even know what it is right now. We're so cold right now.
We were just talking about how freezing we are.
It's probably 60 out or something.
58.
58.
A cool 58. That's
the
pretty
freezing
chilly.
temperature.
Yeah. For California, that's practically snowing.
It's true. I reside in a larger body. This has always been a topic of contention for my mother-in-law, as she is very fat phobic and lives in a diet culture mentality. My brother-in-law's wife is thin and also a diet culture believer. I also want to point out that I had a full physical a few months before, and my doctor said I was perfectly healthy. Everything was good. I am not even pre-diabetic, which my sister-in-law is. I know that size is not an indicator of health or having diabetes, but my mother-in-law and sister-in-law don't. So the trip progresses, and due to the cold weather and thin air, I am struggling a bit to be active. And yes, I'm finding it harder to breathe. My mother-in-law can't stop asking me if I have asthma, if I need a wheelchair, etc.
Oh my God.
That's excessive. She also can't stop taking her eyes off my plate when we eat at every meal. That's so exhausting.
I hate that.
Oh my gosh.
Keep your eyes on your own plate.
Yeah, it's just food.
Yeah, we need those little, in middle school or
In like
grade school or something, when you had you took a test,
They
you
had,
had
like, the
manila
dividers?
folders. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need those for when you eat together.
Right. She does this for my husband too, by the way. Finally, the trip comes to an end and my husband and I drive home with my mother-in-law. It is a 3+ hour car ride filled with her commenting on mine and my husband's food habits, how much weight we have gained, and how she has seen some family members pass away from diabetes. But she won't let that happen to us.
It's exhausting.
It's not gonna happen.
It's literally not gonna happen.
She's fine. If you need a doctor's note, she can get one.
Are you a doctor, mother-in-law?
Right.
Because otherwise, keep your opinions to yourself.
Being trapped in the car with her, I tried to reason with her, but she kept commenting on my body and being super rude. I finally plopped my headphones on and stopped talking to her for the rest of the drive. Once we finally dropped her off at home and we headed back home ourselves, my husband and I had a long talk. I told my husband that this was the straw that broke the camel's back and I was not going to tolerate my mother-in-law's fat phobia anymore. Her commenting on my body is not okay. My husband was supportive and completely took my side. He has had to tell mother-in-law a few times before to stop her behavior regarding my size and mental health issues. We got home from the trip and mother-in-law called my husband to chat and, thinking I was not around, began to talk about my weight and size. My husband told her she was on speaker and again stopped commenting on our size and weight. I pointed out to my mother-in-law, not for the first time, that I had a full physical and my doctors had said I was healthy. Mother-in-law completely ignores it and keeps hammering in about how unhealthy we are. And then I pointed out her comments were really triggering to me as a person who has food issues and eating disorder. Her response to that was, "Oh, I know." And then she continued her spiel.
Oh my God. She was like, yeah, I actually don't care.
Right. Like, I know you have issues, but I'm not gonna do anything to help you.
I'm gonna make
it.
them so much worse.
Yeah. My husband told her if she could not speak respectfully, he was done and hung up the call. Again, my husband and I had long conversations on how I will no longer tolerate her disrespect and fat phobia. I set firm boundaries, and of course, my husband was 100% supportive. After that conversation, I thought that if I sent mother-in-law a well thought out email that explained how she was hurtful and tried to get her to see my side of the matter, maybe it would open a door for a productive conversation.
I don't think so. I don't think she can. I think you've already tried so many times and she doesn't listen.
She's beyond help.
Yeah.
I spent 2 days crafting said email and had my husband, best friend, and therapist read the email to get their feedback. They all agreed that it was polite and got my points across. I emailed it to my mother-in-law and then put my phone down for a few days to try and relieve the anxiety of the whole matter. 2 weeks later, my mother-in-law replied. Wow, a whole 2 weeks. The gist of the email was that she would think about what I had said, but she still could not believe I was healthy being the size I am. She also dropped another bomb. Remember the money situation from earlier? The email detailed that rather than split the money as she said she would before, she was giving my husband and brother-in-law $40,000 each and keeping the rest, which is about $475,000 for herself because she needs to take care of herself for once.
Can she I wonder, well, she might be able, I was going to say, can she legally do that? But possibly if she is the one in control, like, supposed to divvy it up.
Yeah, because that might be what it is. I think I might have to check, but I think that might be right. Where it's like it was all for her, but then she was like, "No, well, I'll split it evenly."
Or you have like someone's name on it, and then they're in charge of splitting it up. But my god,
oh my god,
no one's gonna want to talk to her ever.
Yeah,
she's gonna lose her whole family.
It truly felt that she was doing this in retaliation for us standing up to her. I pointed out that if this money was left to him by name, mother-in-law could not do that. We did some digging into legal records and found that my mother-in-law had essentially taken over, gotten rid of the will, and now had all the power with this money.
Oh my god.
Also, this had happened last year. She had never planned on splitting the money with my husband as she had told him before. My husband was heartbroken, not about the money, but the blatant lies his mother told him, not to mention her disrespectful behavior on and after our recent trip. My husband and I, at that time, decided to go extremely low contact with mother-in-law and added brother-in-law and sister-in-law to the list when my husband called his brother to talk about the entire situation. My brother-in-law basically told my husband, if you were doing better in life, you would not need the money. That's a diss from the brother-in-law. Like, if you won't even need that $115,000 if you were doing well. Like,
it's crazy. It's like, okay, but we're not, so we do need the money.
Right. Some time has passed and my mother-in-law has reached out to my husband. I have her blocked on everything. Same with brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And she gave my husband an "if you feel hurt, I'm sorry," which I pointed out is not a real apology. My mother-in-law also has said she has no idea why I'm angry with her, but if I want an apology, I need to unblock her. Nope. I have made it clear to my husband that I have no problem with him seeing his family and trying to mend things, but my contact with them is basically done.
Yeah, I mean, you've been just like harassed over and over and over, and there's just no point here.
Right.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law has been ashamed for years to have plus-size daughter-in-law. Now she no longer has one. Boom. Mic drop. Mm-hmm. My husband is, of course, super supportive of my boundaries and needs. By the way, we'll always be supportive of your boundaries and needs if you join us live on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile. Tap it.
Do it.
There is a little bit more, but
I think that's the best solution. You just need to really go no contact with these people.
Right. Here is where I'm wondering, am I the a-hole? I have been reading a lot about not hanging on to anger and trying to understand where people come from. And though it doesn't excuse the behavior, it gets you to a place where you understand and can move forward. I really have a hard time seeing this happening. Ever. I don't want to make my husband feel like he has to choose his family or me, but I really don't think my mother-in-law is ever going to stop with her shady antics. Am I the a-hole for not ever wanting to forgive my mother-in-law and by extension, brother-in-law and sister-in-law? Are my boundaries too much? Asking as a former people pleaser and emotional support eldest daughter. If you read this entire thing, thank you. I appreciate y'all so much. And that is it.
You are not the a-hole at all.
No.
You're just trying to set boundaries, as you said.
Yeah.
And these people can't accept them, and that's their problem.
Yeah. And I mean, time will pass too.
Yeah.
I feel like, if right now it feels like you'll be angry at her forever, that's fine.
Yeah.
It might not happen that way, like you might kind of let go of it just with time, but I don't think you need to put pressure on yourself.
But that is the end of that story. So let's get into the next one.